Hey Movie Mavens, welcome back to the B Movies channel. My name is Bailey and I put the B in movies. So this week is an exciting week. We're officially starting that fall season. I know that last week's video was September 1st, but I'm like, now we're really into fall because it's the second week of September. So I'm getting really excited. I know all of you are. Hopefully you've had the chance to check out Spirit Halloween, grab some fall or Halloween goodies, and just really start getting into the spirit. As we all know, this is my favorite time of the year, and so I'm just really excited for all of the content that we have scheduled for y'all for September and especially October. October is going to be crazy. I mentioned it in the last video, but just a reminder, for the entire month of October and potentially more in the future, we will not be doing 5 pieces a week. We will actually be releasing 6 in addition to some very special bite-sized Sundays. We'll talk more about that later. But instead of just one particular show or movie, the bite-sized Sundays in October, since there are 5 of them, are going to be chock full of things, just as a teaser. So get excited for that. Get excited for some content coming up on both the B Movies channel Instagram and my personal Instagram. Again, it's my favorite time of the year, so I'm just really getting excited. So yeah, hope you're getting excited too. So to recap, for this week, we talked about the Backrooms. I love the concept of the Backrooms. I think it's really creepy. We've all been in those spaces. Like, to me, it's like back of the mall where the bathroom was in like a Macy's or a JCPenney's. That whole experience, just those weird liminal spaces that don't seem quite right. They seem uncanny valley-esque. And so I think it's something that we can all relate to in the weirdest way. I'm also really excited to see how the movie turns out with A24. We all know I'm a big A24 girly. And so that piece was a lot of fun to write and to really dive into the lore, because if you've never seen the original post of the Backrooms that started the entire idea, there's just something really cool and mysterious and almost creepy about it. So really loved writing that piece. Hope that you liked reading it. We talked about Gilmore Girls. Is it a perfect show? No. Season 7 is a mess, but it's an annual rewatch for me. Marty a weekend. So I had to write about it and just how special it is to me, because it's one of those things. It's a show that I watched, came out in, I believe, 2000, 99 or 2000. And so it's just been a part of my life my whole life. And so I just kind of share a little bit about why that show is so special to me, even though, again, there are some things that I'm like, girl, Amy Sherman-Palladino, we shouldn't have said that. So also this week we have some of my favorite werewolf content. Pudge, my oldest little dog, basically looks like a tiny werewolf, so I am a huge fan of werewolf content. I was really excited to share some of that with you, because I know several of you are like me and you like to have like these themed movie nights or these themed movie binges. And so that's why with a lot of these pieces, and especially in October, you'll see, because there's a lot of, I'm not going to release anything yet, but there are a lot of odes to specific types of movies, specific genres, subgenres, franchises. And so it's something that I love doing, because I am the same way. I love to have those themed movie nights. I'm a themed night girly. So glad to share that with you. Another piece that we did this week, the Taylor Swift eras as movies, that will actually be our deep dive today. So keep that in mind, because I love how this piece turned out. I had a lot of fun with it, but I do feel like I need to explain myself on some of these, even more so than I did in the piece. So I'm excited to talk more about that. And then we had a special piece. So my sister's birthday was this week. I'm not going to say how old she's turning because she would kill me. But I've talked about this before, like when I talked about 16 Candles and a couple other movies. I owe some of my big movie loves, like John Hughes, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Romy and Michelle, all to my older sister. And so I wanted to do a little special piece for her about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because it's one of the first movies that she ever shared with me that I really, really enjoyed. I know it is so cliche to love Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but cliches are stupid anyway. So I just really wanted, I really wanted to just write a special little piece for her. There'll be another one coming up in October where I did the same thing with KP and my brother-in-law, since they share the same birthday. And so I just wanted to do something special for her. So happy birthday, Nikki. I hope it was great. I hope you like what I got you. And yeah. So just to recap, Backrooms, Gilmore Girls, Werewolves, Taylor Swift, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off all await you over on the blog. Friendly reminder, you can find everything over at bmovies.blog, as well as daily posts on the bmovies channel Instagram, which is just the same as our YouTube channel at bmovies channel. I post daily over there, and on my personal Instagram at Lisa_Frankenstein_, I post a weekly roundup on Sunday. So speaking of Sundays, so your bite-sized Sunday teaser for this week is that the movie that I will be covering, this Bite-Sized Sunday is a tribute to a late musician who recently passed away and was one of the first films of a legendary director. And so if you pay attention to music news, you should be able to guess what this is, but that's your teaser. So look out for that on Sunday. As another reminder, Bite-Sized Sundays do not live on the blog. They only live on the Instagram. So the only place you can find them is on the bmovies Instagram and on my blog, just in my stories every Sunday. So, I know Pudge is in the background. Please ignore him. Again, Pudge deals with so much in my house, so just ignore him rolling around in the background, because I'm not gonna make him leave the room, because Shiloh and Sadie annoy him so much, and he's just living his best life. So, yeah, I think with all of the housekeeping out of the way, we are good to dive into this week's deep dive, which is, I took, because this is how my brain works, when Speak Now was released, Speak Now Taylor's version was released back in September. This is September. Ooh, I've not had coffee yet, so I'm going to apologize to all of you. So when Speak Now Taylor's version was released back in July, I wrote a piece about it that you can also find on the bmovies blog. I didn't realize how much that album meant to me. And so not only did I write a piece about that, but I also had an idea around the same time. I'm like, what if I took every era of Taylor Swift and I found a corresponding horror, with the exception of one, they're all horror movies. To me, it's almost borderline horror. It's good. It's essentially good for her horror. But I'm like, what if I took all of these movies, or all of these eras rather, and found a movie that I feel like is directly correlates or is on the same wavelength or like a spiritual sister to these albums. And I had a lot of fun doing it. A lot of them came immediately. Some of them I had to think a little bit deeper on. But I just want to deep dive into these and kind of what my thought process was within all of these, just to hopefully give you a little bit more insight as to what I was thinking. So, we're going to go in chronological order. As we all know, 1989 will be released next month, so I will update that piece to say 1989 Taylor's version when it is released, as well as Reputation and her debut album, Taylor Swift. I will update those to Taylor's versions when they are available. So don't worry. For those who don't know, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. So don't worry. I am on it. I promise I will get them updated as we go. So we're just going to go in chronological order, take a little bit of a deep dive, and just, have some fun along the way. So to start out, for Taylor Swift's debut album, I just immediately thought of The Loved Ones. And for those who don't know, The Loved Ones is about a girl named Lola who she's kind of a unpopular or like the loser type at her high school. She has a crush on I wouldn't label him as a stereotypical popular guy, but he's like the cool popular guy that's like not really in any sports or anything like that, like might be in a band, but just kind of gets along with everybody, is clearly, at least popular within his own circle. She asks him to prom. He says no. Lola gets really upset about it and he winds up getting kidnapped and wakes up at Lola's house so that her father can give Lola the prom of her dreams. And so, if you're wondering how we got here with Taylor Swift's debut album, with things like Picture to Burn and Teardrops on My Guitar, I just really felt like it encapsulated a lot of Lola's feelings throughout the film. And so to me, this was one of the ones that it did not take me very long to think of, because to me, it just really encapsulated that feeling in high school where whether you're popular or unpopular, rejection is still a part of the teenage and adolescent experience. And even though, most of us don't go to the extremes of this film, it's still just, to me, it encapsulates those feelings it's almost the 5 stages of grief, but for high school rejections. It's, like you're sad that this guy you like doesn't like you back, or this person that you like doesn't like you back, in my case. You get angry, you're like, there's no way they couldn't like me, and have that denial, and you eventually just get to acceptance of like, oh yeah, they just don't like me. And so, and obviously, like, it's not as big and over the top and dramatic as The Loved Ones, but to me, I just really thought these two went hand in hand, because a lot of the same feelings that the main character and The Loved Ones feel are really represented throughout Taylor Swift's debut album. So next up, we have Fearless, Taylor's version, and we have Tragedy Girls. First and foremost, I think Tragedy Girls is criminally underrated. It's another one of those movies, like, we should all know by now, like, I am a Justice for Tamara girl. I love that movie. Tragedy Girls is another one to me that I feel like if it came out now would do so much better than when it was released, because with the likes of this Jennifer's Body resurgence, and like I would even argue things like Bottoms. If you haven't seen Bottoms, it's wonderful. That movie, it's hilarious, it's over the top, it's satirical, it's great. I think that if Tragedy Girls had come out now, I think it would have done a lot better. It's the same with Jennifer's Body, which we'll talk about later on, because of course I made room for Jennifer's Body, because of course. But, yeah, I think it's criminally underrated. For those who don't know, it's about two high school best friends. How'd you good, buddy? It's about two high school best friends who wind up kidnapping a murderer, and they basically, want to be famous true crime victims, podcasters, investigators, so on and so forth, at any cost. And so, Jack Quaid's in it. It's so much fun, and again, it has its roots in Jennifer's Body. Good for her for the girls' horror. And so I paired it with Fearless, Taylor's version, because to me, with songs like 15 and Fearless, Taylor's version, is about the quintessential high school experience, but to me, when I listen to it, instead of like love, it reminds me of those high school friendships, those teenage friendships. And like some of my best friends are to this day, I can think of at least 3 of my best friends that I went to high school with, and they've been in my life. We've been through we've been to hell and back together. And so I just think back to those times when we were in high school and we were there for each other, and sometimes they were carefree times, and other times they were not so carefree times. They were very serious times. And so it just really makes me think of the themes of friendship within Tragedy Girls. And so that's why I paired those two, because when I listened to it, of course, like with every Taylor Swift album, there are going to be love songs about exes or current loves, for sure. But a lot of 15 just encapsulates being a teenage girl. And Tragedy Girls, at its core, when you take out the horror elements, it's about a friendship. It's about female friendship. And so I just thought those two paired excellently together. So next up we have Speak Now, Taylor's version. So I paired it with Carrie because I know this is a little bit of a wild one, but in Speak Now you have Mean and Speak Now and Haunted and all of these songs that I think really personify Carrie's journey throughout the movie of being bullied by Chris and John Travolta and Norma, PJ Souls. And I think that it shows how much of a roller coaster that movie is for Carrie and how much of a roller coaster her experience is, because she goes from this girl that's bullied, that's taken under the wing of Sue Snell and, Coach Desjardins and all of these people, only to be... Sir? Hey! Mister? Sorry, everyone. I don't know what Pudge is doing, but he's lost his mind. So she's taken under the wing of these people, and, she gets to go to prom, and she has this horrible home life with this horrible mother who, is insanely religious, and for this one night, she gets to shine and excel. Hold on. Guys, can we not, please? Can we not? Please? Thank you. So, hold on, everyone. Remember one woman operation? Well, 2-woman operation. One woman operation for recording this video. So I just think Speak Now, I think it really chronicles Carrie's journey well. I think it mirrors Carrie's journey a lot. And so I just think that they are spiritually connected, in a way. So next up we have Red, Taylor's version. This was another pretty easy one for me to connect, and I immediately thought of Radio Silence's Ready or Not. For those who don't know Radio Silence, it's the same group who did Scream 2022. Brain malfunction. Scream 2022. They did Scream 6. They did, which blew my mind when I found out, they did the 10/31/98 segment in VHS, which blew my mind because I did not know that was them in it and that directed it, so that was crazy. But Ready or Not is about, it has Summer Weaving, love her, who marries into this family where it turns out they've made a pact with the devil to acquire their empire and all of their fame. And every time a new person is brought into the family, they have to play a game, and unfortunately for her, it's a game that's only ever been chosen by this little magical box one other time, and it's hide and seek, and she essentially has to survive the night, or be killed, essentially. So, she gets found, she's going to be murdered and sacrificed. And I really love it because she's like an Erin from Your Next type of final girl who's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get out of here, to survive, whatever it takes. And so for me, Red, it's almost comical how it goes with it, because with songs like I Knew You Were Trouble and We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, I just thought it was almost comical to put these two together, because it, to me, really represents, at least if I were Grace, like what would be going through my mind. And so I just thought that it was just a funny pairing. I thought it was extremely fitting. And so that's the explanation for Red, Taylor's version, and Ready or Not. So next up we have 1989, and I have Scream 6. First obvious song, Welcome to New York. Obviously, because it's the first movie in the franchise that's taken out of Woodsboro. I think that, and I put this in the piece, I think it would be really funny with how meta Scream is, for Mindy's character to say something about how there's always these like upbeat pop songs for no reason. You could throw Shake It Off into a chase scene or a party scene and mirror that to someone, you know, like someone being attacked by a ghost face. Blank Space, to me, was very Quinn-esque. Like it really personified her energy. And so I just think that with the sleek background of Scream in New York, and how Scream has always mixed meta commentary with comedy and horror, I just think that they perfectly align. Next up we have Reputation. And if you haven't guessed it, Reputation is what I paired with Jennifer's Body, because we have dark Taylor Swift. It mirrors dark Jennifer Check. I think there are songs from just about every character's perspective that could be seen from every character's perspective in here. From Look What You Made Me Do gives big Jennifer energy. Ready for It could be from Needy's perspective. It could also be, in my opinion, from Chip's perspective. I just think there's a lot of potential with these two albums, and I just think the tone of Reputation fits perfectly with the tone of Jennifer's Body, where it's edgy, but it still has some playful undertones. So I just thought the two went perfectly together. So next up we have Lover as Fear Street Part 1, 1994. So if you don't know, I love the Fear Street trilogy. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. I think it's well done. There's allegedly, fingers crossed, more coming, because I love these episodic releases. Like Blumhouse has done it before with Welcome to Blumhouse, where they did a movie a week for I think 2 Octobers in a row, because they didn't do it last year. I love how they did the Fear Street trilogy, and I mean even stuff like The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs and everything. I love we've moved away from cable. I mean, just like, I haven't had cable in years. Like, I've not had cable since I was in college and, like, got it for free. I have not had cable in that long, and I graduated almost 10 years ago. So, we've moved to such a world of streaming and, bingeable content that I sometimes do miss having episodic releases. And so when they did this 2 summers ago, I just thought it was such a cool concept, and how it encompasses all these different time frames that are still interwoven. And so definitely check out the Fear Street trilogy. That's actually my next tattoo. I'm very excited because I'm almost done with this here arm. Is going to be a Fear Street cover, and I'm very excited. But at its core, Fear Street 1994, a big part of this trilogy is love. The love between the main characters of Dina and Sam. The love between Ziggy and Nick. Like, there are all of these, like, different little relationships sprinkled throughout. There's platonic love, there's romantic love, there's familial love between Dina and her brother. And so I just think that a lot of Lover, to me, really represented Sam and Dina's relationship like death by a thousand cuts, because that's how the movie starts out. That's how the whole trilogy starts out, is Dina and Sam have broken up, and Dina's, like, devastated. and angry. And so you have like Death by a Thousand Cuts, even stuff like Cornelia Street. But then as they get back together and more about their relationship is uncovered throughout, like, especially 1666, you have things like Lover and The Archer. And I just think that in the weirdest way possible, they would work together. And like I said in the piece, I absolutely think that Dina would have put like The Archer or something on a mix CD for Sam. 1,000%. And so now the last three. So we have for folklore. Oh my gosh, I forgot how to speak. That's cute. For folklore, I chose May. May is another movie. I know it has a cult following. Still think it's criminally underrated. I love this movie. I mean, you have Jeremy Sisto, you have Anna Faris, Angela Bennett. Like, it's just so good, and it's so quintessentially late 90s, early 2000s. And so I think that folklore works really well with it, because I know with folklore and Evermore especially, Taylor Swift plays around with storytelling and shifting the narrative voice from just being her own or like a very female centric to male voices. You could argue some non-binary voices, because it's not really obvious what type of the type of person that's telling the story. It could be about a same-sex relationship, it could be about an opposite-sex relationship, a queer relationship. And so I just really thought for May that folklore was a really, really good pairing, because in the movie May, there's a lot of queer themes. May is this almost character out of folklore herself, because it doesn't feel like she should be in this reality. At least when you're watching it, to me, she seems like this made up character that's just been thrown into modern society and doesn't know how to act or behave or fit in. And so something about the tones of each just really matched for me. So next up we have Evermore. Immediately thought of Pearl. With songs like Dorothea, because Dorothea to me is almost like how May's husband spoke to her, or like the dude she hooks up in the movie theater. Like, Dorothea was like the big song that made the connection for me. Because, you know, May, since Evermore and Folklore, you know, they feel older, even though, you know, they're two of her most recent albums. The tone and just how the music is structured feels older to me. And so for Pearl, I thought that Evermore was perfect, because, I mean, again, Dorothea, no body, no crime. Like, come on. And so lastly, we have Midnights. And so for Midnights, I chose, and I know it's not technically horror, but hear me out. So I paired it with Promising Young Woman, because to me, with songs like Anti-Hero and, oh my gosh, lost my train of thought, but like with Anti-Hero, for example, the main character in Promising Young Woman, Cassie, is she fully a heroine? No. She is a very complex character. You know, she's reeling in the tragic passing of her best friend. She is, you know, dealing with all of these people who were, I would argue, directly responsible for her death, even though, you know, people are going to say what people are going to say about the situation that I can't really talk about because we're on YouTube. But if you've seen the film, you know I'm familiar, and I would argue they're directly responsible for what happened to Nina. And I just think when you listen to Midnight, you know, there's like vigilante shit, there's Anti-Hero, there are You're on Your Own Kid. There are just these songs that portray a female character who is trying to do what she believes is right, but it's more complex than she is just this solely good, naive character that's been created. And so I just think the complexities of Midnight's really align with Promising Young Woman. Because again, as Promising Young Woman, I consider it borderline horror. And I think that it does belong in the good for her horror genre. I think it's just a wonderful movie. And there are some trigger warnings and content warnings for it. Just a heads up if you've never seen it. It's about SA and kind of boys will be boys mentality, and tackles things within that realm. And very head-on tackles things within that realm. So if anything in that vein triggers you, major content warning that this is probably not the movie for you. So, to recap, Taylor Swift is The Loved Ones. Fearless is Tragedy Girls. Fearless Taylor's version, is Tragedy Girls. Speak Now Taylor's version is Carrie. Red Taylor's version is Ready or Not. 1989 is Scream 6. Reputation is Jennifer's Body. Lover is Fear Street Part 1, 1994. Folklore is May. Evermore is Pearl. And Midnight's is Promising Young Woman. So there you have it. There are all of the eras of Taylor Swift assigned to horror movies. I think this would be honestly a fun, if you're having multiple movie nights, or if you're looking for something to do on one weekend. I don't know why I'm having so many issues talking today. I think that this would be a really fun watch list. You could even listen and watch in between. But again, I'm a sucker for a good theme. I love themes like this, and so I think that this is just a fun little watch list for a weekend if you don't want to get out of the house, or if you want to start a movie series with your partner or your friends, and you can listen to the albums before you watch the movies, in between the movies, and just kind of see how they line up and mix and match for yourself. So I would love to, if you have any ideas of what you think of horror movies that you think could also go with the different eras of Taylor Swift, leave them in the comments below, because I just think it's a really fun thing to take these albums, and this is something that I want to do more of, honestly. I plan to do more of in the coming weeks, of taking some albums that I really like that are recent albums. Two big ones for me that I'm really looking forward to are Olivia Rodrigo's Sour, taking that song by song, and Billie Eilish's Happier Than Ever, and taking it song by song. So yeah, I just had a blast doing this. I'm glad that I could share it with y'all. And just as a reminder, we will, just as a reminder, and then my brain just went boop. Just as a reminder, I am no longer posting daily content on my personal Instagram, so be sure to follow us at bmovies channel, like I said up top. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Lisa_Frankenstein_. Be sure to follow Elliot on Instagram at reading.with.red. Elliot has a bookstagram. It's awesome. Like I said, be sure to follow us at bmovies channel. You can subscribe to the blog on WordPress. It's just bmovies.blog. You can get them sent straight to your email. And again, this is the time to subscribe, gang, because we're getting into October, and so you're going to be getting content 7 days a week. 6 from the blog, 1 from Instagram. So, just saying, get it on the ground floor. And thank you to everyone who has been watching, leaving comments, engaging, liking us on Instagram. We couldn't do this without all of you, so I just thank you so much for all of your support. We're small, but I love sharing this time with y'all. Really, again, I can't stress enough how much I'm looking forward to next month, because Elliot and I have some big things planned, and I'm just very excited. This is officially the first Halloween of the bmovies channel, so you can definitely expect some costumes, 6 pieces of content a week, very special bite-sized Sundays, Just really looking forward to sharing this time of the year with all of you, which will hopefully be the first of many. And so, yeah, like I said, be sure to subscribe. Everything will be in the description box below as well. Be sure to check out this week's pieces. And I think with that, all that's left to do is fade to black.